You know, a lot of folks that I talk to from customers really focus on these things like the PII, which is a sort of a very US-centric view of personal data. And obviously, the definition of personal data and what is actually covered under these privacy regulations can be really quite broad. Explain what that actually means in terms of sort of the kinds of data that we're actually talking about having to manage.
So the basic definition of personal data is any piece of information that is identifiable to a person either directly or indirectly. So that could be something as simple as your name, or you might say, well, I don't have someone's name, but I have their network ID. Well, if you can go through a process to tie that network ID back to a specific person, that's personal data. Business contact information is personal data. The company does not own the email address once it's assigned to you. That becomes your personal data. And now, as GDPR and the Singaporean Act and the South Korean Act and the Japanese Act, they've expanded the definition of personal data to include location data, IP address, biometric information, genetic information that's never been included under personal data in the past. So the definition keeps getting broader and broader. Opinions of an individual, that's considered personal data. Photographs, images, that's all personal data. So that the only thing that is not considered personal data would be data that's associated with a company, not in terms of the business and the revenue, but the minute you assign a CEO's name to that company, that becomes personal data. Aggregate or statistical or anonymous data that you cannot in any way tie back through re-engineering or anything else would not be considered personal data.
Right, so it's information that may identify or be about an individual that you can kind of track back to that individual, right? So, you know, we've had a couple of conversations with folks about the use of photographs, which is biometric, voice recordings in, you know, customer survey, customer satisfaction calls. You know, those sort of things can actually come back to be a problem, right? So it could actually be quite a broad set of data. And as you say, as it relates to, you know, do you actually have a defendable reason to hold that for your business? That really kind of brings up that whole question of, hey, if you don't need it, get rid of it.